Okay, so I just realized after I wrapped up this video that it requires a little more explanation. This is stuff that I've gone through over the last couple of years. But now that we're building and doing and showing and attempting to achieve actual accuracy, I need to add to that video as to why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because this is most certainly not to sell firearms. This is not to sell a system. This is not to sell anything. This is simply to say, for those of you hot rodders out there that want to achieve certain goals, this is how you do it. You can't buy this stuff. You can't buy off the rack accuracy. You have to build it. In the same sense that you can't buy an off-the-shelf race car, you have to build it. Only it's worse with accuracy. Because you simply can't mass produce accuracy. And I'm out here chambering up 300 HELLBRNGR, which is the most useless of all the... I did one back in the day to test concept. I didn't ever figure I'd do another one. It's useful as a 338. It's useful because I've been tasked with building a big monster 270 for these new bullets that just came out. So I decided to go with the 404 Jeffrey case. The 300 falls in the middle, and I've had no reason to do another one. Well, I ended up doing another one. I'm doing another one to test something else, to test a stock. Because the 30 bullets are a known quantity. I can get 30 bullets that are freaking awesome, that will go into one hole if you give them a chance. So now I'm herring off down another wild rabbit trail, and I'm building a 300 a 300 HELLBRNGR, which is using the 300 WSM reamer. And I realized this thing typifies, it exemplifies, it solves the problems. And this is why there's two big reasons. Number one is pure, blunt, raw accuracy. 99.9% of the guns that are sold in the world are misrepresented accuracy-wise. If you can actually say that you own a gun that will go out and shoot quarter-minute groups, 5-shot groups on call, like hold my beer and watch this on call, then you don't need any of this. You're set. You're good. But most people can't. I've had people come to me through the years and they're like, what do I do? Who should I buy? What should I buy? What ammo? What action? What gun? How much do I have to pay to get? Because you need quarter-minute accuracy to hit stuff at 1,000 yards. The answer is you can't. Not only must you build it, but then you must know how to run it. Accuracy at the high end is about a few things. I'm going to say the single biggest thing is vibration control. This is true of all the bench rest stuff. This is why the standard bench rest gun is glued together so that it vibrates like a tuning fork. Bang, 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 bang. And you can tune it. We're trying to do this with hunting guns. So, number one, I believe, and I think most of the shooting community believes, has to do with vibration control. Now, there are a few things that weigh into that vibration control. And one of the single biggest things is brass fit, the fit of your brass to your chamber. Because when that thing slaps out, just picture a typical rifle chamber. Got a piece of brass sitting inside of it. I chose to draw the brass first because I cheated. When that case booms in all directions, kapow, it sets up a tremendous amount of vibrations. Those vibrations sit on top of the vibrations that are generated by the flex that's in the system when you pull the trigger by the sear being held up by pressure and the weight that's on it and the travel of the firing pin, that already starts the system kind of vibrating, and then BAM! Now, if this brass doesn't fit in here right, if it's got a big huge air gap up here and it's laying right on the chamber down here, obviously when it blows, it's got that case has got to go somewhere. Now understand that cases are thicker and thinner side to side. They're not diametrically perfect. Some are, some aren't. Culling out the round ones from the eccentric ones, or the ones with a thick side. Understand, this is a brass case. This is the thick side. This is the thin side. Thick, thin. So if this case is laid, no matter which way it's oriented, this side is going to blow out to make it round. Every time the thin side's going to go, BAM, to fit the chamber. Now, without going into explanations and stuff, we don't need any of that. We just know that however that case is oriented in here, it's going to vibrate differently. So the first firing, always, regardless how many people tell you, my gun is most accurate when I'm fireforming. Well, if that's true, and it is in some cases, your gun sucks. Your reloading sucks. Your method sucks. Everything about you thinks sucks. Fireforming is never supposed to be the best. Now, if it's the best, fix something. Go after the problems. This is all about fixing something. So let's start with the fact that that first time that piece of brass goes into your chamber, it's ugly, it's rough, it's eccentric, and it's thin on one side, and you put it in the chamber and it goes boom. Now, to minimize the amount of disturbance that's going on, we do something called short chambering. Short chamber. To short chamber means to make sure that when that case first goes in, that it's bearing against the shoulder up here and against the bolt face back here, so that it's jammed in there. Then when this booms out, the whole case is not just shaking around, it just booms this side out, booms this side out. The case shakes a little bit, but that alone brings the vibration factor way, way, way down, just by getting a jam fit, bearing at the shoulder, both, well, all the way around the shoulder, and at the face of the bolt. So that is imperative. Now, once we have achieved that, once we have fireformed, once we've got the brass to fit and we fireformed it and it blows out, we need to maintain that. That requires custom dies. Period. It doesn't matter what you buy, how you buy, who you buy, whatever. And I've tried this, buying the die first and building the gun around the die, and the problem is that all factory dies are too small. You end up getting a click situation here in the back of the chamber because the dies are smaller than the brass itself. They try to bring it right back down to base, and when the base of the brass swells out a little bit, the base being this area back here, when this starts to swell a little bit, you get clickers, you get hang-ups, and there's nothing you can do about it. So the answer is you have to make the chamber bigger, and you have to set it up for the crush. Now, here's the next thing about that. If your case is not bearing down here at the shoulder and is not bearing down here at the bolt face, this being the bolt face, if there's clearance, then somehow the brass has to swell up and fill the chamber. The way it happens is it blows forward until it bottoms out on this front shoulder, and then it blows back to match the bolt face, and it stretches right in here. But worse than that, remember, we need to go back to the fact that we've got a thin side in this case. So when that case is stretching to fill the chamber, because you made the chamber too big, the thin side always blows more and the thick side tries not to move. So not only do you get a stretching in here, but you get banana-ing. The case is actually bananaed. And this big old 300 RUM case just typifies all other things. It's the perfect case to use to illustrate the problems that we are fixing by going with a completely custom setup. So, custom setup. You start by chambering in such a way. Now, the 300 HELLBRNGR will still fire 300 RUM cases. And when you reload them, you're not going to pick up a huge... I remember when P.O. Ackley, my old buddy Parker O. Ackley, did a bunch of improved cases, and he sold the accuracy thing, and he sold the case life thing, but mostly he sold the velocity thing. Oh yeah, you take a 22-250 and turn it into a 22-250 AI, you pick up 20% in velocity. Well, a couple of things. Number one, he was selling something. And number two, a true custom high-end reloader is going to realize at one point or another that when dealing with cases of a similar size, the limiting factor is pressure. Unless you can run the pressure higher. I'll give you an example of this. A 243, bone stock 243 in a Remington Action, will make about the same velocity as a 243 Ackley improved, side by side. In fact, you can take a 243 barrel and run it into 243 Ackley. Of course, you'll have to tighten it up a little bit. There are some reasons why you have to roll the lettering down into the stock. You can do all of your tests again, and if you're honest with yourself, if you don't fudge the data, you're going to find out that the slight increase in case capacity between the 243 and the 243 Ackley is not enough to give you a huge velocity jump. Velocity is dependent on the amount of pressure. Now, the things that break that paradigm are things like the BR case, the Palma case, the Creedmoor case. Big cases, small primer pocket, and tiny flash hole. So, pressure, as any racer knows, is important to consistency. So if we build the gun so that it makes good brass, we build our dies so that we get good brass life, and what we're trying to do here is get non-bananaed, straight, because here's the thing, we've got consistency shot to shot. You can take one case and load it and shoot it and load it and shoot it and load it and shoot it, and you've eliminated some of the variables, but that's not very useful. You need to, number one, be able to make cases that fit into the system and shoot what I call dead, which means no extraneous vibrations. There's enough vibration being accomplished when you fire the thing. So good, solid, well-fitting, tractable cases with a small enough neck now. This is another thing. No factory gun has got a neck that's small enough. The necks blow out 10 thousandths. When you size them back, you do that and you lose your necks. Not only that, but remember, we've talked about this before, inbore yaw. When that bullet heads down the barrel, the only thing guiding and supporting it is the case neck. You get that case neck out of the way and that bullet goes in slammed against one side or the other, period. It can't just float its way down the middle. It slams sideways. So if you got 10 thousandths of clearance, you automatically have 5 thousandths of bullet misalignment right from the start. So neck is a reason for a custom chamber. Size is a reason for a custom chamber. But what it all comes down to is it's the cheapest way. It's the only way to get accuracy, and I need to say this once again because I haven't said it enough. Once you're in a position where you have to be ordering a custom die anyway, then you might as well have the gun built to solve problems. And this 300 is a perfect example. It doesn't, blowing out the 300 RUM case and using what I'm doing doesn't give us some huge velocity difference. It's not like, oh dude, I sell you this, you go out, you throw in factory RUM, shoot them, they make 3,000 feet per second. Now when you reload them, you get 3,500 feet per second. No, that's not what this is about. This is about accuracy. The simple fact that we have a huge group of people out there around the world believing in something called bullets going to sleep, which is BS. And it's only because their guns don't shoot. The gun's got to be able to make little tiny dots, period. So, to make your gun shoot little tiny dots, you have to get your cases to fit. And then you have to maintain those fitments with a good die system. Now there's a lot of other things that go in, but without those things out of the way, and when I use the term problems inherent to the system, one of them is the fact that these cases are eccentric. Cases as they come to you are modeling clay. They're squished out, they're rough, you blow them out, and now you cull and you fix and you go through and you get these perfect cases. Now you have to get a group of cases so that your whole box of hunting rounds or your whole box of competition rounds all shoot the same. These are things that are not easily rectified, but they cannot be rectified except by building a system, and in that system knowing the problems, addressing the problems, and making the system work. I've seen plenty of custom guns built out there. Somebody calls in and says, I want a SAMI spec chamber, and everybody told me that Bartline barrels are the best, and I want a shell in stock, I want a Macmillan stock, and I want a blah blah blah. You scab these parts together, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get something that shoots that much better than run-of-the-mill. It's how the parts are fitted that matter. The 6 PPC rules the accuracy game because the people who designed it in such a way that when you make brass for it, you make good brass. And there's a whole industry around maintaining that good brass. And 9/10 of the shooters out there that shoot the PPC don't even realize what they're dealing with. They're just using a tested and proven system from somebody. And because it's totally off the wall, there's no so-called SAMI spec, it's completely a wildcat. The people that build the PPCs build them and supply all of the appropriate fitments in their system. That's how they make their reputation, which is how they make their money, so that they build more guns. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. But in this course of us trying to bring bench rest accuracy procedures out into the mainstream, yeah, we're dealing with problems in the gun, we're dealing with problems in the stock flex, we're dealing with all kinds of problems. But let's go back for a minute and realize that the actual root of the thing, the cartridge case, is not just a handy way to carry your powder bullet around. It's number one, the gasket that keeps you from searing your face off with those hot gases. And number two, it is the interface between the power, the engine. It's like the drivetrain of your rig. It's like this makes all the power and pushes the bullet down the barrel, and it's the interface of this brass case and the gun that's built around it is highly, highly important, so that we can produce this accuracy consistency from shot to shot. So as to why a person would build a, let's say, a 300 HELLBRNGR, it's not the same as the original drive behind the 338 Edge. The Edge was designed and built specifically to go faster. I'm going to take the 300, blow it out to 338, make it bigger, make it longer, throw it at different, make it faster. We need to get away from faster people. Faster works in race cars if you're a drag racer. It does not work in race cars if you're going around and around in circles, or if you're trying to go. The Europeans laugh at us for our infatuation with horsepower, because they're like, well, if you can't go through the twisties, what good is the horsepower? There's some truth to that. Well, here's where I'm going. I'm trying to change this whole mentality. Yeah, we can go fast. Let's get fast. Let's get energy. Let's get velocity. Let's get that recoil up to where it's trying to break our collarbone. But number one is accuracy. And to get that accuracy, we need fitment. And to get that fitment, we need homemade guns. There's no way to get the kind of fitment that's needed in mass-produced guns. And to get it safely. There are some safety issues. When you go with a tight neck, you have to be aware of the fact that not all, or a tight chamber, not all cases are going to fit. If a chamber is properly done, not all off-the-shelf ammo is going to just drop in, because off-the-shelf ammunition varies in length. And it just burns my guts when somebody comes on an actual shooting forum on the inner tube and says, well, I bought this custom gun and I paid $3,000 for it, and I get it home and I went down to Walmart and I bought some 300 RUM cases and they wouldn't even go in the gun. Stupid gun builder. I'm going to send it back because he's such a dumb. Well, unfortunately, no, you're the dumb. You've got a short-chambered rifle which has the capability of going somewhere. And the fact that it won't fit all brands of, by the same token, handguns are notorious for being picky. 22 handguns are notorious for being picky about the ammo that they ingest. So what? If your 22 likes CCIs, freaking shoot CCIs. If it likes golden bullets, shoot golden bullets. If it likes, a lot of handguns hate hypervelocity ammunition. Oh, my handgun won't shoot stingers. Well, okay. Another one will. Okay. Everything is a trade-off, but understand that to get the accuracy required to hit things way out there, we must start from scratch, build out, and maintain the vibration such that we actually achieve the accuracy that we're looking for in the custom rifle. Or in any, if we could buy this stuff, we'd go buy this stuff. But the simple fact is that you cannot go buy off-the-shelf quarter-minute accuracy. Period.